Welcome. The lesson begins. Today, we do not speak of the slow poison of deceit or the dark magic of a soul-bound curse. We speak of the final act, the checkmate, the most brilliant and diabolical spell in the narcissist's grimoire. It is a spell you cast upon yourself, a curse where the incantation is your own scream of rage, and the wand is your own trembling hand, writing the email you will later regret. We are here to dissect the art of a provoked reaction. The masterpiece of the truly gifted emotional terrorist is not to make you love them. It is to make you hate them so loudly, so explosively, that the world finally turns and agrees with their assessment of you, that you are, and always were, the monster. Consider the years of careful, patient work, the slow, meticulous erosion of a soul. For 7 years, the subject endured the Crucible. He lived within a phantom relationship, a meticulously crafted illusion of partnership. While he offered loyalty, she was cultivating a garden of secret intimacies with others. His bed was not a sanctuary. It was a stage, a prop she used between acts of a completely different play, one in which he was never cast. This was not a secret he was meant to uncover. It was a reality he was meant to inhabit unknowingly. But the soul has its own senses. It can detect the subtle drop in temperature when a lie enters the room. It can feel the void where a shared future is supposed to be. And so, he questioned, he probed, he presented the evidence of his own intuition. And for his troubles, he was rewarded with the classic refrains of the gaslighter. He was paranoid, he was insecure, he was crazy. For 7 years, every time his instincts screamed the truth, she calmly, coolly told him that his instincts were liars. She did not just deny his reality, she pathologized it. She made him believe that the very act of seeing her for what she was a symptom of his own mental illness. This is the long, slow work of tilling the soil. She was preparing the ground for her final, masterful harvest. The discard, when it came, was not a simple departure. It was a detonation. She did not just leave, she defected, seamlessly transferring her allegiance to the very person she had sworn was a phantom of his paranoia. But leaving was not enough. To the narcissist, it is not sufficient to simply win. The loser must be utterly and completely discredited. The victim must be posthumously recast as the villain. And so, the smear campaign began. A coordinated effort, not just from her, but from her entire coven, her family. The very people who had smiled at his table and accepted his hospitality now became her flying monkeys, to borrow a term from the Muggles' more colorful fables. They were the agents of her narrative, spreading the gospel of his instability, his rage, his monstrous nature. And what evidence did they have? At first, none. Only her carefully crafted performance of victory. But she knew. She knew that 7 years of psychological torment, of being called crazy for seeing the truth, of being betrayed by the one person who promised safety, builds a certain pressure within the human soul. She knew that if she squeezed hard enough, for long enough, the vessel would eventually crack. She was not just leaving him, she was setting a trap. And he, in his agony, in his righteous and blinding fury, walked directly into it. He wrote the email, the raw, unfiltered, venomous accounting of her sins. He held up a mirror to her, a mirror showing every lie, every betrayal, every moment of her breathtaking hypocrisy. It was a scream of truth from a man who had been forced into silence for nearly a decade. It was ugly, it was nasty, it was real. And it was the greatest gift he could have possibly given her, because she did not read it as a cry of pain. She saw it as evidence, Exhibit A. She forwarded it to her father, the patriarch of the coven, who then used it as a weapon. Threats of harassment charges were leveled, not at her for the years of abuse, but at him for the moment he finally broke. Do you see the artistry, the sheer, malevolent genius of it? This is a specific clinical tactic. It has a name. It is called reactive abuse. It is the phenomenon where a victim of long-term abuse finally reacts, lashing out verbally or emotionally at their tormentor, and the abuser then uses that very reaction as proof that they are the real victims. It is the final, perfect inversion of reality. It is a psychological maneuver so effective, it has its own acronym: DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse, victim and offender. First, she denies her abuse. The years of lying and infidelity never happened, or if they did, they were his fault. Second, she attacks the victim for reacting. His anger, his nasty email, his refusal to go away quietly becomes the new focus. And finally, she reverses the roles of victim and offender. She is now the terrified victim, cowering from his harassment. He is the unhinged abuser, and the world, which only sees the final, explosive reaction, often believes her. They did not witness the 7 years of slow poison. They only saw the moment the patient finally screamed, and so they conclude he must be the crazy one, just as she said. Her prophecy becomes self-fulfilling. She did not just predict the monster, she created it, and then she put it on display. What does this do to the survivor? This is the most vicious part of the curse. It makes you believe their narratives. In the quiet aftermath of your rage, when the adrenaline has faded, shame begins to creep in. You look at your own words, your own anger, and you are horrified. You think no good person would say such things. No sane person would act this way. You begin to question your own character. You think, maybe she was right. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am the monster. This is the curse taking root. She has not only convinced the world that you are the abuser, she has convinced you. You become complicit in your own character assassination. You carry the shame of your reaction, while she wears the crown of victimhood, a crown you yourself handed to her. It is a prison of guilt, and it is the narcissist's favorite place to keep you long after they have gone. So, what is the counter-curse? How does one break this spell? It is not by apologizing. It is not by trying to explain the context to her or her enablers. They are not interested in context. They are only interested in their narrative. The antidote is a potion brewed from 2 ingredients: radical self-forgiveness and brutal context. You must forgive yourself for being human. You must accept that the human nervous system has a breaking point. You are not a machine. You are a person who was systematically, deliberately, and patiently tortured until you reacted in a predictable, human way. Your reaction was not a reflection of your character. It was a symptom of her abuse. Her fever is not the disease. It is a sign that the body is fighting one. Your rage was not the problem. It was the sign that your soul was fighting for its life. Then you must apply brutal context. You must look at your reaction not as an isolated event, but as the final frame in a very long, very dark film. You must see your nasty email not as an act of unprovoked aggression, but as the inevitable chemical reaction when a volatile element to your pain is finally ignited by an open flame, her final betrayal. Any sane person, any objective third party, any potions master worth his salt would look at the 7 years of ingredients she used and predict the exact explosion you created. Your reaction was not a sign of your instability. It was a sign of her success. She got exactly what she wanted. The moment you understand that your breakdown was not your failure, but the successful completion of her most sophisticated spell, is the moment the curse shatters. You take back the shame. You see it for what it is, a weapon she designed and handed to you, and you put it down. Let them have their email. Let them wave it around as their proof. Those who matter will understand, and those who don't never would have anyway. The lesson is not to become a stoic saint who never feels anger. The lesson is to understand who manufactured that anger in the first place. Forgive yourself for the screams, but never, ever forget who pushed you from the ledge. Lesson is over.